Well, I guess I should start with another congratulations. I think I've probably said it about a million times, Steve, but congratulations again on a fantastic first season. Have you had any chance to reflect on it yet?
Possibly the last week or so, just a chance to unwind, I suppose, and it was nice to reflect. I said, I think from day one when I got the job that the time to reflect would be at the end of the season, and we've had a chance for the last week, after winning the league at Luton, and it was a great achievement from everyone. I think the football club, I think the staff, the players and the fans, every single person I think played their part, and it's nice now to look forward to next season.
You mentioned day one there. If I can take you back to perhaps the first time that the club made contact with you about coming here to Sunderland, do you remember it much?
Yeah, well, I was actually out walking my dog, believe it or not, and I think I got a phone call from his solicitor saying there was a bit of interest, and I had mentioned that I wasn't really interested in becoming a manager for the time being, and he said, well, do you want me to mention the club involved? And I went, no. I says, no, just I want to take this break from football. And he said, well, Sunderland or the club. And I went, oh, okay, let me think about it, and that really got the ball rolling from there, because it was a club I thought, of course, that got me thinking. It's a big club, and it'd be a chance to turn things around there. And there'd been one or two other approaches from other clubs, but I just wasn't really interested. And as I said, I didn't think at the time I wanted a challenge at that moment in time in my life. But when Michael mentioned it was Sunderland, I thought, that kind of sat in my head for a few days, and I thought, yeah, that sounds like a good option.
What is it you think about Sunderland that so attracted you?
Well, I think it just my gut feeling just felt right. I just thought, and I knew obviously things hadn't gone well there, and I knew there was a lot of upheaval, I suppose, over the summer, and the fact they'd just been relegated, and I thought the potential of the football club, and it just sat right with me. I've obviously played there a few times myself in my career, and I thought, this, big club with big traditions, and I thought, let's go for it.
So how did you feel when eventually that you came into the club, when you saw how it was at the time? What were your feelings?
Well, my feeling was that it's a big job, and there was no surprise, because I did have a chance to reflect, because initially after that phone call, I met with Niall and the owners, and again it didn't work out, because I still had to go on my try and finish some of my coaching badges, and then I kind of had to let it go for a while, and then it came back up again a few months later, because they couldn't, I think one or two managers turned it down, or they couldn't agree with certain issues at the club, I'm not sure. So when I came in my first day again, I just thought, there was no surprises, I have to say. I knew things, when a club is having a bad time, clearly things aren't right at the football club, and I was aware of that, and I've been in the game a long time, and I've stood back and I've watched other football managers, the way they work, and I watched how top clubs work, and when I came to Sunderland, I knew that things weren't right, and I knew I'd have to make changes, but of course that was part of the challenge.
I know you came in effectively 4 league games into it, but you'd watched the Coventry game, the opening day of the season. I think you'd watched it on telly, hadn't you? We spoke this season about that, and you'd seen them, and you thought that you could do something.
Yeah, but I watched it, but I didn't watch it, if you know what I mean. I think I was flicking. I like to flick stations a lot, and I was going back to it, and again, but again, I always knew the potential of the club, and again, it was one of them games. You can certainly watch teams, and when I watch football matches, you can come across teams that sometimes don't have that winning mentality, and I think Sunderland clearly over the first 3 or 4 games didn't have that winning mentality. Doesn't mean to say they were bad players or they were playing badly. Sorry, they just lost that winning edge, I felt, and I sensed that from the outside. But of course, as soon as I came into the club, I felt that the club had certainly lost its way, definitely.
You weren't officially in charge for the West Brom game, but I know you watched it from up high with Tony at the back of the stand. What did you think of that game?
But again, I had an idea what kind of players they had at the club, and the type of club it was. But I think the people when I was negotiating my contract, they were pretty keen for me to try and sign the contract. I think the day before the game or the day of the game to try and announce it. But I didn't want to be rushed into anything. I says, no, I want to go and watch the game and have a good think about things, even though it was 99.9% done. But when I've obviously watched the game, they played particularly well against that day, and I remember Brian Robson getting interviewed after the match, and he was clearly disappointed, and he felt Sunderland wanted it that bit more. Whether it helped the fact that I was in the stand, I don't know. I know obviously Niall and Bobby Saxon took the team that day, and tactically they'd done it very well. They had 5 in midfield, so again, it helped the fact that they won the game, and I just knew that the team would have a chance of turning things around.
And then when you officially took over, you didn't have any time to sort of rest in your job, did you? You signed about 1 million players in the space of a week, didn't you?
It was hectic, but I think it was more hectic for probably Peter Walker and obviously Niall at that time, because I just said, there's no doubt we need strengthening, because I knew over the course of the season that we would have any injuries and suspensions and stuff, and I wanted to bring in a few players that I knew. I knew the type of characters they were, and in defence of the players here, I didn't really know too much about them. I didn't know, how they work, and I felt I wanted to bring 1 or 2 of my own people in, just to give the other lads a boost, and to give the club a boost. And Dwight York was an important signing for us, because it showed that for a player to come back from Australia to come to Sunderland, the team bottom of the championship, it says a lot. And he was willing to come over and give it a go. Obviously, he wasn't available for the first game, but it got the wheels in motion that Yorkie would come in and bring a big stature to the club and to the dressing room. And I knew the players would look up to him in a nice way, not in awe of him, but think, here's a player who's achieved something. He's come all the way back from Australia, so maybe things are going to change.
And as well as the playing staff you brought in, we mentioned Tony, you've brought in Neil Bailey, you've brought in the fitness guys as well. How important have they been for you this season?
Massively important. Again, I can't praise them enough. We all have to share the load. We've just had a meeting out this morning about pre-season, and again about raising the bar. We're always looking to move on, and again, obviously there was 1 or 2 other staff here who were still here, and I felt, I didn't want to come in to make too many changes quickly, and really the only person I brought with me was Tony, and the other staff that came along was just the progression of where we were heading for. And I think the staff who were still here, I gave them a fair chance, and most of them have took it, and obviously they'll have a big part to play as well next season. But for me to have the right people around me, I'm under no illusions. I couldn't do this job by myself, absolutely no way. And again, from the last few years of my playing career, I stood back and I watched other managers and how important their staff are to them, and I knew that I'd have to get good staff around me.
By and large, the facilities that you've already got to hand here are probably top notch for you, but one of the things that you changed when you came in was putting all the pictures around, wasn't it? All the historical pictures. What was that? Why did you do that?
I'm not sure. Again, I'd been to the club, of course, only a few weeks, and we'd been out to the stadium, and I just felt it was a magnificent stadium. It was a magnificent facilities we've got, second to none really. And but sometimes it didn't feel that homely. It didn't feel like a football club. And it's great, all these new academies going up and these new stadiums, but you got to remember what it's about, and a football club, and the history of the club, and the spirit we want to build here. And I just felt that we need to remember how, what a good history this football club is. Again, just putting up pictures of a lot of ex-players, obviously the victories, you're going back obviously to the 70s, winning cups, and players need to be reminded of the importance of playing for Sunderland. And sometimes when the picture's up on the wall and it's in your eye line every single day of the week, it just, it gets through to your head that, the importance of playing for Sunderland, that I maybe felt some players possibly took for granted.
Is there perhaps a little bit of Sunderland in Roy Keane's heart now?
Well, I hope so, but I always said that would take time, of course. I think part of my development as a manager, I think, which helped definitely at the start, was my ability to step back from stuff. Even though I've brought my own staff, and obviously Tony I've known for a lot of time, but there is times when I have to step back and be real cold-blooded about decision making, whether that be with the staff or the players, whatever it might be. But I suppose my relationship with the fans and the club will hopefully, that was never going to happen in a week or a month. It was always going to happen, hopefully build up over a few years, and obviously it's helped that we've had a little bit of success early doors, and hopefully that will grow and grow. Now,
there's plenty of great people, sporting-wise, that have come out of Cork, apart from yourself as well, obviously. Charlie Hurley is one of those, and you met Charlie this season as well. Was Charlie someone who, as a child, maybe you'd have thought highly of?
Yeah, well, he's known in Cork, of course, more so for the Sunderland. And when I was growing up, I was more, I have to say, more of a Tottenham fan for some strange reason. A lot of people would obviously follow United or Liverpool or Celtic, but Charlie would be a well-known figure, especially among I have to say, the older generation of fans over there. And Charlie was a good help to me, because he got in touch with me, and he came up, I think, for the Cardiff game, and it's always nice to know that he'd been here. I think he'd been voted the greatest ever player, and he gave me some very good words of advice. And even after we'd played Cardiff at home, I couldn't get him to leave my lounge. Obviously there was a few drinks involved, but he gave me some good words of encouragement, and spoke about his love for the club. And obviously, being from where I was, it was a great help, even though that night I wasn't in a particularly good mood, because obviously we'd just been beaten. But and he's kept in touch since, and we've read each other the odd letter here and there. So Charlie's obviously played played a small but vital role in helping me get involved with the club.
So on to the pitch then, and as you said before, you had to sort of pick them up from the bootstraps really. What was the point where you thought, hang on, we've got a real chance here?
Maybe at the end of the Luton game. Maybe on the way back in the bus, I thought, we've got a chance of being a half decent team. No, I'm not sure. I think there was moments when you look back over the season, and there always is 3 or 4 moments where you think that was an important game. That was, and a few of us have spoke about it, the staff, and I think the derby at home was an important game for us. I also think Burnley away, when we were 2-0 down, we didn't play particularly well, and we managed to get back, and the players showed a great spirit. I remember him celebrating with the fans behind the goal, and there was definitely something building between the fans and the players, and we had a bit of momentum. We still had 1 or 2 mishaps along the way, don't get me wrong, but there was something building, and when we got that momentum going, it was very hard to stop it. And then, of course, I think, again, a great night, obviously, with a couple of games to go. I think Burnley at home, where, again, we showed true character from the players. We'd shown that all season, I have to say. But Burnley at home, I felt, the players rose to the occasion. I think the fans did. There was 2-1 down. A game where we knew we really had to win and to come back and play extremely well. And of course, then we got it back in our own hands.
I mean, you mentioned the fans there. Probably all 3 of those games, the fans were very patient, weren't they? Derby, Liam, right at the end. Burnley, I think one of them even fell out the stand celebrating.
I hope he's okay, because Dino need him in the head maybe as he came down.
How important have they been now?
They've been fantastic. And as I said, when you look at our players, when we do score, we do enjoy it. The players enjoy it. And they all celebrate together. I think we've had 1 or 2 bookings for lads going into the crowd, and as much as we're trying to stamp that up, because obviously the safety side of it, it's fantastic to see. I think the derby game, Danny Simpson was in the crowd for about 10 minutes after the game. I think we kicked off without him, so it's great. And Johnny and Danny, the lone lads, Lewin, who've come in, and the fans kind of made them feel really welcome. And the fans have been fantastic, I have to say, because there has been downs. People might look back and go, it's all been fantastic. There's been disappointments. Remember the Cardiff at home, the Preston's away. Losing 4-1 at Preston was a big disappointment. Losing at Ipswich away losing to Colchester away, where everyone thought everything was going to be a done deal. And then the Burnley at home was a big test for us. And then you saw them all obviously in their numbers again at Luton. So we've travelled in great numbers, and as you said, there's been edgy moments where I think the fans have shown great patience and understanding of what was going on the football pitch. And sometimes that's not easy, because fans get swayed and they just want you to win, but they understand that it's hard work.
Have you had a chance to enjoy any of it at all during this season?
I think maybe the last 1 or 2 days I've been able to wind down. I'm going away tonight. I've got 2 or 3 days I'm going away tonight with my wife for 2 or 3 days, and I'm hoping that might kick in. I'm away next week on a couple of football coaching courses, so I have to say it never stops, because I had a meeting with Niall and Peter last week with potential targets. I had a meeting this morning with the staff about pre-season, so it's never really ending, I have to say. But I have managed to relax a little bit the last week or 2 and reflect on what was a great achievement by everyone at the football club. But I've been saying it, since we managed to get promoted, that I really believe the hard work starts now.
Are you the sort of person that likes that, though, that would rather be going at it hammer and tongue rather than
I'd like to
sitting
think
back?
so, yeah. Oh, it's got to be all or nothing, Again, we've spoke to the staff there about raising the bar for next season. Half measures are no good to us. We've got to aim high and we see what happens. I'm under no illusions how tough it's going to be next year, but with the players we've got, and if we can add 1 or 2, but most importantly, if we keep the spirit we've got at the football club, then you've got a chance. But we've got to keep that spirit. That's going to be unbreakable.
Well, just finally then, I hope you don't mind, I got you something at Christmas, and it was dog related at the time, so I've done it again as a congratulations for promotion, and I've sponsored a dog for you on behalf of my work as well, so if I can give you that as a congratulations. You don't have to look after him for a year, but he'll get looked at. It's a dog's home.
Okay, very good.
They're always taking dogs like you, so thank you very much. Hopefully you can enjoy next season a bit more as well. And on behalf of all the fans as well, thank you very much.
Cheers, no problem.